Hello and welcome to Science Unscripted. It's Connor here.
And Gabe, and we're going to start off with a really short email. I like those too. Sometimes I like the long ones, but the short ones, they're good too. There is an old saying, writes Chris, if you can't dazzle them with your brilliance, baffle them with your BS.
I wasn't expecting BS to end it.
Yeah. Well, it's in reference to the study we looked at out of Graz, Austria, where even scientists, even the authors of scientific studies, use unnecessary, descriptive, well, not even descriptive, words laden with emotion in their abstracts.
In this novel study,
Right. Significant to boot.
we found significant differences with important consequences for the important, significant, novel. Those are redundant. You don't need them. They capture the attention of people like me and Gabe and people like you, and they're unnecessary. That was the point of that one.
And then one last question he asks, I would be interested to know the latest information on what will become of the Arecibo Observatory
Oh, down in Chile.
in Puerto Rico. It's a beautiful telescope, or it was. It's been decommissioned now in this bowl in the forest.
Okay, yeah.
And I believe the latest information that I was able to obtain was that it's going to be turned into a center for biological research, a STEM center. But if I'm wrong, please
Fantastic.
correct us out there. For everyone listening to this broadcast, anyone who knows what's going to happen at the Arecibo Observatory, or what once was that observatory, let us know.
We have listeners in Puerto Rico, and what a great place to learn STEM.
It looks like a beautiful
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so one quick little bit of news here, Connor.
That is my name, yeah. And speaking of learning,
Yeah. Okay, so teenagers around the world, on the whole, have gotten worse at mathematics, according to the only global assessment of academic performance for, kids, essentially. The PISA, a math, reading, and science test given to 700,000 15-year-olds from 81 nations. It happens every 3 years. Normally, this past year, the 2022 test was the first time it was given since the pandemic. So the one before that was 2018. And that gives us a glimpse into what has happened to education
in the last 5 years.
Yeah, following the COVID lockdowns. Okay, so on average, students from all nations scored 15 points lower in math than they did in 2018. In reading, the drop was 10 points. So
Hold on. 15 and 10 out of 100.
No, it's not a 100-point scale. It's about a 500-point scale. So that's a lot less than what it sounds, but still it's significant. The scores across the board have gone down
So
for the Western world.
By 3% or 2%,
Yeah,
roughly.
but still,
Yeah. Significant.
Yeah, right, yeah. Significant, a word that we probably shouldn't use based on... anyways. For the Western world, it was particularly bad. Germany scored worse than it has ever scored, ever, in any of those categories. And in math, it dropped 25 points. So, yeah, bad. The U.S. also plummeted in math. In the other two categories, stayed the same as in 2018.
Which ones?
In reading and science, stayed the same, but in math, plummeted.
Gotcha.
Participants from Asia, meanwhile, cleaned up. Singapore and 5 other Asian educational systems, that's Macau, Taiwan or Chinese Taipei, I believe is what you're supposed to say, Hong Kong, Japan, and Korea outperformed everyone else across the board in math and in science.
Sorry, real quickly. Outperformed relatively compared
Beat
to
everyone.
Right, but
they were the first 6 nations.
Have they also
And
seen,
regions, I guess Taipei and hold on here, Macau. Those are administrative regions.
Have they dropped, though, I guess is my question. Have they dropped like less than the others?
They
hence
dropped
their
a little
first-
bit compared to 2018, but still blew everyone away.
Okay.
And it was, let's see, those same countries and regions were the next highest performers in science, along with Estonia and Canada. And in reading, Ireland performed as well as Japan, Korea, Chinese Taipei, and Estonia. But still, you get the idea. If you look at across the board of these 81 nations and regions that took part in the Western world, it seems that education is in a tailspin. And what they also did was they looked into why this could be the OECD.
Thank you. Yeah.
And they looked at the duration of the lockdown, so how long the restrictions were in place for countries that had a lockdown imposed, and it didn't line up with the drop. So it doesn't mean that the longer you were in lockdown, the more you dropped in the score. So you can't just say that it was corona. They looked at digital devices in the classroom, and the kids who said that they were distracted by digital devices in the classroom performed 15 points lower, if you said that. And also they looked at the time spent on devices. And this was a really, I don't know why they did this analysis, but if you're a kid and you spent up to 1 hour a day, so less than 1 hour a day on your device, you scored 49 points higher than a kid who spent between 5 and 7 hours.
5 and 7 hours.
Yeah.
15-year-old. Well, yeah, 15 years old.
But that's a clear indication that digital devices also play a role. So it's not just one thing. There's an array of factors that have led to nations dropping.
I've seen...
But the bottom line is that test scores are dropping when it comes to the PISA, which is the only international comparison.
Yeah, I've seen lots of... so much to say on this one. I'll keep it tight. Quite a few videos originally from TikTok, and in that case it was very US-centric. Educators complaining about the same problem. Kids are coming into 5th grade, 6th grade, 7th grade underprepared.
Lacking basic
really
knowledge,
basic skills, knowledge, writing skills, attention span.
Yeah.
And that opened the floodgates for the commenters to come in and say why they thought it was. And digital devices was one of them.
Okay.
Pressure on educators seems to be increasing.
To force kids through, or to pass kids.
To pass kids. Also, pressure from parents in terms of what is expected.
Pass my kid.
Well, just all around pressures. In some countries it's politicized, in some countries it's not. And then also, the digital aspect. So here in Germany, it's a debate right now whether or not digitalization should keep happening. I think Bavaria bringing out 1.5 million tablets next year, whereas there's a group of 40 academics here in Germany telling the government, please stop this. It is making kids stupider, not smarter. That's the allegation. Okay. I'm not sure the evidence backs it up yet, but it's an open question that we need to solve, because these kinds of results, these drops,
they sound small, like a couple of percentage points, like you said, but on the whole, if that continues, then we are creating a generation of kids who are less smart.
Yeah, that's not okay. And now that I'm thinking this through, France, I believe since 2018, it's either a federal law or has regional laws where no devices that can connect to the internet are allowed to be brought to school.
Device ban. It'd be nice
by
to look.
people, including smartwatches. So
have a longitudinal look on what that's doing to kids' performance?
Or are their PISA scores now better if that is the cause? But lots of open
France
questions.
dropped 25 points in math, just like Germany. So
then again,
not yet.
If it's a federal law. We'll go on to, we're just talking about technology there at the end. We'll talk more tech here, and specifically voice synthesis using AI software. We've talked about this before, I think back in February.
You synthesized my voice.
I synthesized your voice.
Yeah.
I'm going to play an example of my synthesized voice just to give you, all of you out there, an idea as to how close I could get it to my actual voice. Here's a sample of me talking, but using AI software. Hi everyone, this is Connor's synthesized voice talking to you. It was created using audio samples from Connor's real voice, and now you can type in just about anything, and he'll kind of have to say it.
That was not you. Give me a break,
it was
blockhead.
Okay. Connor, he really kind of talks like Connor. He's got a...
This is Connor's synthesized voice.
It didn't quite work with me.
BS.
I put 8 minutes of audio in there, and that's what popped out.
Okay.
But the software is great. It can do incredible things. I'm going to play an example of one of those incredible things right here. This is a song that shouldn't even exist, really.
Hello, I'm not Johnny Cash. So it's gonna be forever, or it's gonna go down in flames. You can tell me when it's over, if the high was worth the pain. Got a long list of ex-lovers, they'll tell you I'm insane. 'Cause you know I love the players, and you love the game. 'Cause we're young and we're red.
I'm not sure. Well, you guys couldn't hear our sound engineer and his response to hearing that. Garrett, our sound guy, said that that's frightening. And when Garrett says that something is frightening,
it is frightening.
Then it is. He's one of those guys. He doesn't mess around with words. What it does for me is it gives me hope that I get to hear Tupac Shakur. Again, I've been waiting.
Those are out there.
Yeah.
Those are out there. You can find those.
Really?
Yeah, those exist. Let me make something clear. That was from a TikTok channel called There I Ruined It. Someone takes songs and does weird things with them and quote unquote ruins them. But in this case, kind of made it beautiful. And this song is impossible because Johnny Cash died in the early 2000s. This was a Taylor Swift song, Blank Spaces, came out a decade after he died. There's no way he could have sung this. They synthesized his voice and made
Yet
him.
from listening to that, it's impossible to think that that's not real.
It's him.
It is real.
He's back. He's alive again through AI synthesis. So this is frightening, as our audio engineer has said. Can we stop it? Is there a way to stop it? And that takes us to the topic here. These are some researchers over in St. Louis in the United States.
Washington University, right?
Yeah. And what they're trying to do is to kind of put a filter over our voices when we put them out there digitally that stops this process.
Yeah, so for every recording that is published online, you would put this filter on it and then it can't be faked?
You could, yeah. So what I did with them is I got in touch and said, because it's not an app yet, doesn't exist. Nobody listening can go download this app and recreate what I'm about to show you. It's code that anyone who can code can do whatever they want with.
Yeah.
So what I did is I wrote them and said, look, guys, this is great. I can't code, unfortunately. Could you help me here? And can we do this test, this experiment with my voice?
Yeah.
So I sent them a clip. They got a short clip of my audio. Actually, I sent a longer one, but they used about 10 seconds of it. This was the sample that they had. In the academic world, people tend to be more reflective, more analytical, and less hands-on. That's not always the case, but it tends to be that way.
That's you. You recorded
me.
that with your voice.
Yeah, I just read some text into a mic.
Okay.
And
yeah.
the guys were like, wow, that's great audio quality. So like,
And then they coded?
So then they took my real sample and they're like, look, we're going to use this to create a synthesized voice, like the one you heard earlier. Mm-hmm. And here's what they did with my voice. I have arrived at your house. Please open the door. So
I am arriving.
That's not okay. Okay, that's not you.
It's not me, but you can see from the text that they used what they're getting at.
Yeah.
If you could take my voice and synthesize it, you could convince someone to open the door, and now I'm getting into the home of a relative.
I understand.
Right? You see the problem. Okay, now what they did next is they used their software to put a filter over my original voice recording so that nobody could ever do that with my voice again.
Can we hear that?
We can hear it. Get prepared. It's not going to sound that great, but here it is. In the academic world, people tend to be more reflective, more analytical, and less hands-on. That's not always the case, but it tends to be that way.
Would they put you in an aquarium or?
Yeah, sunk me under the water.
Okay.
Now, if you were sending me a voice message,
Yeah, but why would you do that to your? You can't put that on a recording.
right? Let me make this clear. This is a first step.
Okay.
This is I was and thank you to the team behind this. I think it's great, and thank you for working with me on this. I think we can all listen to that and say, I wouldn't put that filter over a message an audio message I was sending to someone.
I don't want to throw them under the bus, but what they're working on, if they amend it and perfect it, then
It's a first step.
then what is it going to be? It's going
Yeah. So yeah, the key is turning some dials up and some dials down so that you can make it listenable and fine, but that if you tried to synthesize it using artificial intelligence, you couldn't. So if you take that Connor Aquarium version, right now it's anti-fake. By the way, this team is this is the anti-fake software. If you put it through the anti-fake software, and then try to use that audio sample to create an AI synthesized voice, this is the result. I have arrived at your house. Please open the door.
No, I'm not opening the door for you.
Have you?
Connor, is that you? Oh,
Somebody-
come on in, buddy.
Are you sucking a helium balloon out there? What is going on?
Okay, so yeah.
So clearly they've been successful. It's 95% is the metric that they're stating publicly. It's 95% better at not allowing AI software to mimic your voice.
And the tip for people listening to this right now would be that if you want to fake proof your voice, that's coming.
Yes,
Keep your eyes peeled. We'll let you know.
It's
coming.
coming. The software is coming. I wouldn't be surprised if at some point in the future certain phones come pre-installed with this software. I could see one of the major phone manufacturers or software manufacturers buying it and saying, we're going to run everyone's voice through it. Or it could be a certain app that uses it all the time. I don't know. I think that's part of the reason they're making the code available. Let's use this. That said, if you make the code available, other people can use it too. And it's possible that in the future, AI software will be able to undo that filter, but at least it makes it harder for people who are going to manipulate others, and in order to commit crimes and get money ultimately, but it's a step in the right direction, and it's something we should all be thinking about, or that you, our listeners, should be thinking about when you record your own voice. That's powerful. People can use that in a powerful way that you're not even thinking about right now. And for Gabe and me, that cat's out of the bag. Our voices, there are hundreds of hours of our voices out there. If somebody wants to really, truly impersonate us,
Have at it.
We don't have
Have
a
at it.
chance.
All right. Thank you for that, Connor. And Chris, I hope we dazzled you with our brilliant content.
And that it wasn't BS.
Yeah.